Hello there.
This is where the fun begins.
What's up guys, Unofficial Star Wars here. Hope you're all doing well, and in this video I wanted to take a moment and take a video and discuss the potential possibilities of a Book of Boba Fett Season 2, where they went wrong with the first season and where they can go right with a second one. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna hop right on into it. If you guys are new to the channel, for one thing, grab that subscribe button, join us here on the channel today. We're covering all types of Star Wars related news, leaks, rumors, theories, and breakdowns, everything in between here on the channel. If you guys are into any of that, go ahead and join us today by hitting that subscribe button. For another thing, if you're new to the channel, you may not know that I am a die-hard fan of the Book of Boba Fett. Not just the character of Boba Fett, but also the show. I am one of the, I guess, few fans out there that really enjoyed this show, just overall. Maybe something about it being my senior year in high school and getting to graduate, I don't know, as that's kind of what I associate it with in that time of my life, or maybe for the other factor of that, well, Boba Fett has always just been a cool character to me. Growing up with the Clone Wars animated show, seeing a younger version of the character in the Clone Wars animated show, and now finally seeing him as a grown-up, alive after the events of the original trilogy, after being presumed dead, coming back and having his own badass show, is something that I thought was really amazing and was executed really correctly a lot of the time, but there were flaws here and there. So in this video I want to take a read from GameRant.com. I'll have their article linked in the description down below for you guys to check out there as well as a read. The Book of Boba Fett is one of the most widely polarizing Star Wars projects to date, and that's saying a lot, given how passionate and critical Star Wars fans can be. It might seem like the smartest move to just sweep this misfire under the rug and forget that it ever even happened. Lucasfilm certainly has plenty of other shows to focus on. Andor is ending its run with a second season that will connect its gritty, ground-level spy story to Rogue One, the movie. Ahsoka is a promising new Star Wars property with plenty of potential for the future, with a potential possible second season. And there are more of Ben's exiled Jedi adventures to explore in a possible potential second season of Obi-Wan Kenobi, not to mention everything else that they have going on with the Mandalorian's fourth season. But the Book of Boba Fett needs a second season to fix all of its issues and problems and wrongdoings with its first season, to get the beloved character back on track. The post-credit scene of The Mandalorian Season 2 finale saw Boba Fett bursting into Jabba the Hutt's palace, killing everyone inside and everyone in his way, and seizing the throne for himself. A title card then announced the development of a spin-off series entitled The Book of Boba Fett, and I can't be the only Star Wars fan out there that legitimately thought that this was supposed to be a book and not a show. It took me a minute to actually, well, figure out that this was actually going to be a show. Anyway, the darkness and brutality of this tease just alone set up a very different show, tone and theme, than the one that ended up getting made. It teased a brooding, hard-edged anti-hero story about a gunslinger settling old scores like The Bride to Kill Bill, but compared to the violent resonance Western setup in that post-credits teaser, the show itself that fans got was a bit disappointing in those terms and in comparison to that teaser. Still, that doesn't mean it can't be salvaged with a corrective Season 2. It doesn't mean that Season 1 was a complete misfire and a complete garbage, just dumpster fire. Even if it feels that's what many think of it to be, go back and rewatch it, see how you feel about it then. So, exactly what went on with the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 and what went wrong with the Book of Boba Fett Season 1. The Book of Boba Fett Season 1 primarily revolved around Boba and his sidekick Fennec Shan taking over Jabba the Hutt's criminal enterprise on Tatooine. Along the way, they butted heads with outlaw bikers, rival gangsters, and fellow bounty hunters. This present-day storyline set during the Mandalorian's time frame was intercut with flashbacks to Boba's past, a very strong and pivotal point of the show, and the overall backbone of what kept this show standing and many engaged with it at that. These flashbacks showed how Boba survived his fall into the Sarlacc pit during the events of the original trilogy with Return of the Jedi, which had supposedly killed him during Return of the Jedi, and so, after escaping from the Sarlacc pit, he was enslaved by some local Tusken raiders, proved himself to them by spearheading a train robbery. It had all the makings of a great space western, but it just didn't click entirely, especially with the modern day story going on at the same time. At the end of the season, lo and behold, Boba decided that the crime lord's lifestyle wasn't for him, a big page turner at that, and decided to give up his throne so that he and Fennec could pursue other ventures. While this ending and the resolution of the show's narrative arc felt rushed to a point and made the whole crime lord thing feel like a massive waste of time to a point, it was an interesting turn, to be honest, and one that I didn't see coming. And at that isn't one I think that's discussed about and talked about enough, is that if and when we see Boba Boba and the future of the Mandoverse, just overall, whether that's in future seasons of The Mandalorian or in the Book of Boba Fett Season 2, he probably won't be living that crime lord lifestyle anymore. It did set up the possibility of a Season 2 with a more faithful portrayal of the title character, and at that, giving the overall show itself a soft reboot to a point, even with its just one single Season 1. Some of the many complaints amongst the fans of, just Season 1 of the Book of Boba Fett is minor things here and there. I, for one, thought that the overall show was great, but yeah, I can agree with some of those complaints. When it arrived on Disney+, the Book of Boba Fett received a mixed response from critics and fans alike. Most of the complaints revolved around the show's characterization of Boba himself. It softened Boba's edges and turned him into more of a friendly, compassionate guy, especially compared to the young kid that we see running around in the Clone Wars animated show. It might have made sense for Boba to undergo some growth and some personal change after surviving a near-death experience and being humbled by short-term enslavement, but he just didn't seem like the ice-cold gunslinger badass that Star Wars fans fell in love with back in 1980 with The Empire Strikes Back. 2 entire episodes of the Book of Boba Fett's 7-episode run pivoted away from Boba himself to focus on other characters. He has a blink and a miss at cameo appearance in one scene across those 2 episodes. One of these episodes is essentially a Mandalorian Season 3 premiere wedged into a Boba Fett show. No complaints onto those regards aside from the fact of that, well, give us a little bit more Boba. They could have done that story the same way that they did it, but maybe have given us a bit more of Boba Fett himself. It reintroduces us to a Grogu-less Mando wielding Darksaber. He's back to a simple life of bounty hunter, while he waits for Grogu to finish his Jedi training with Luke Skywalker, as we saw at the end of The Mandalorian Season 2. The other Boba-free episode follows Mando on a visit to Luke's Jedi Academy, of where he sees Grogu and catches up with Ahsoka Tano. It was a big cameo fest, alongside it with Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane. No complaints on that end of things, though. It was still pretty awesome and badass, and at the end of the day, it did come full circle. When the episode finally returns to Tatooine, it focuses on Cobb Vanth and Cad Bane in that episode. The episode will give screen time to literally anyone in the Star Wars universe besides the series' title character, Boba Fett, which, as a Boba Fett fan, is my complaint. There are still also an outlaw biker gang that rode around on a multicolor space Vespas that moved at snail's pace. And we don't really talk about it, but that speeder chase was not it. These hovering space Vespas took center stage in the slowest chase in Star Wars history. It's not just most ingenious thing in the world to have slow-moving bikes with Power Ranger color coding, but it is a prime example of the lameness of the show's action at that, and it was a lackluster scene overall. Those are my biggest complaints, and at that, my only complaints of the Book of Boba Fett Season 1. So where can they go right with Season 2 of A Book of Boba Fett, potentially and possibly? As I had mentioned, the Book of Boba Fett Season 1 kind of gives a soft reboot at that. There's a chance that the Book of Boba Fett Season 2 is right in the wrongs of the Season 1, if it actually focuses on Boba, and doesn't just use Boba's Fett story as a backdoor into a Mandalorian story. A galaxy far, far away is full of enemies with whom Boba has unfinished business, like Han Solo, Mace Windu. We want to see those stories. The Book of Boba Fett Season 2 needs to be a true space western, with a badass gunslinger going from planet to planet, exacting revenge on his old foes. And the end of Season 1, as I had mentioned, once again, gives us that kind of soft reboot and gives us that perfect opportunity of where they're able to take that direction. So, this year all being said, guys, let me know all of your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. What do you guys want to see with the future of the Star Wars franchise for one, but also with the Boba Fett character, especially within the Mandoverse storyline, and with a potential Book of Boba Fett Season 2? I would love to hear all of your thoughts and opinions and theories in the comment section down below. Thanks so much for watching today's video. Of course, this has been an official Star Wars. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Have a great one. May the Force be with you as always. Peace out.
Thank you.